case you weren't around Monday, we did an investigation into LGTBQ taught in our schools. I focused in on what happened almost a year ago during the pandemic, which was in June. In June 2021, during the pandemic, which means there was remote learning, and then they had thresholds, meaning you could choose between 5 days a week you would do remote learning, and 5 days a week you do in-person learning. But all that changed a lot in almost June of last year, almost a year ago, where a teacher decided during Pride Month where she would teach LGBTQ classes. Now we focus in on what the board had to say just 11 months after this had surfaced. So in case you missed any of that, here are the 2 clips where you might have missed it.
Dear board members and Superintendent, as you're aware, I'm sure a packet of district emails was released to a GUSD parent on the basis of a public records request for all communications matching certain keywords such as CRT, LGBTQ, or queer, for example. What was discovered in this initial release was appalling and needs to be addressed ASAP by all levels of district leadership. For those of you who haven't seen these documents circulating on social media, I'll recap for you. On an email dated June 7, 2021, from Mrs. Tammy Tiber, a 3rd grade teacher at Jefferson Elementary, to Sally Miles and Craig Lewis from the district's Teaching and Learning Department, Mrs. Tiber says, "Good morning, Sally and Craig. As you know, I teach 3rd grade. Today I talked to my class about LGBTQ Pride Month and played 2 short videos from YouTube that were geared toward kids. A parent who heard the lesson and discussion made her daughter leave the Zoom and texted me asking when I was done discussing sexual orientation so that she can let her kids back onto Zoom. I was planning on doing more lessons tomorrow and Wednesday, but now I'm afraid to. Here are the videos and lessons I was going to do with my class. Of the YouTube video link she listed, here's an excerpt from one that she played for her 8-year-old students where an MTV host asks children questions about being gay and transgender. She says, "Jodie Foster is a woman and she made me question my own sexuality when I was a child because I liked her so much. And she was nude in the film now," and sarcastically says, "Not that I remember watching it several times as a child," with a wink. During remote learning last year, a parent heard what was being shown and taught to her 8-year-old child on Zoom, immediately turned off the computer and contacted the teacher, which resulted in a worried email Ms. Tiber sent to district personnel. Exactly 21 minutes later, after sending the email, Mrs. Tiber received a response from Mr. Craig Lewis, part of district staff, that said, "Do not be concerned or afraid. Your principal should support you, as I know that our district, including Vivian, does," end quote. This district staffer goes even further and gives more media recommendations to the teacher that says to steer clear of content that says sexual or coming out, since it may raise red flags. In other words, coaching this teacher on proven methods to push her agenda but to stay under the radar. Immediately after the release of this email chain, the parents at Jefferson Elementary who have had Ms. Tiber as a child's teacher reached out to the principal and demanded answers. Why is gender and sexuality issues being taught to 8-year-olds to begin with? With the tremendous loss of learning our children experienced the past 2 years,
the one I find most disturbing of all is of a 3rd grade teacher trying to talk about sex with 8-year-old students. These are 8-year-old children that she is trying to hold a sexual orientation class with. A parent shared their concern and their objection to it and pulled their kid out. And instead of this teacher being concerned of what she did wrong, she goes to a district employee and asks for ways of how she can continue to teach sexual orientation to her 3rd grade class. You guys want us to believe that this isn't a propaganda, that no agenda is being held? This wasn't just any sexuality class. This was specifically designed 3 days a week. She taught LGBTQ curriculum in her class. It raises the question, how many of those students are excelling in that classroom? Is everybody in that class getting A's in math, English, grammar, social studies? That we can dedicate 3 days a week to teach 8-year-olds about sexual orientation? I don't care what kind of sex is being discussed. The word sexuality, nudity, does not belong in the ears in a classroom of 8-year-old kids. And when a parent parents showed their concern, what does this teacher do? Completely disregards and goes behind the parents' back trying to find ways of how to continue these lesson plans. The level of disrespect that has been shown to Christian conservative parents is becoming very obvious. The board is not listening to what we are saying. Because if you guys want to talk about including all, listening to all, every student matters, our kids matter too. And we don't want those subjects being taught to children who are just 8 years old. And the topics get worse and worse and the subjects get more detailed. And I'm sorry, are we doing Bible studies in classrooms? No, we're not, right? So why is this a certain agenda being pushed into the classrooms?
And like she said, if we don't take a stand, they're going to sweep this under the carpet. Now, Megan Fox talked about this, and she wanted to come on the show. I'm talking about this right now. Coming up next, the investigation continues with my explosive rant to the school district. Find out what happens. Plus more updates. Don't go away. In spite of recent events going on, who is at fault here? I have to say it's the teacher. It's the teacher's fault for discussing this type of matter when it was not approved by the district or the principal. District leaders were in support of this. And personally, if I was part of that board and I heard about this, I would immediately go in there and find out what was going on. With the hidden camera, find out what was going on, and take a stand. Show them the hidden camera, and they tell them not to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it, even if I get fired. But there's a lot of issues and questions going on. What's going on? What are the parents doing? Well, during that time, no questions were answered. The emails were leaked. Years ago, the emails were leaked. Well, probably months later, the emails were leaked by someone from Substack.com, by a group. We looked into that group. And I have to side with, and what just happened, I have to side with parents. I had to side with parents on what's going on. I would side with school districts saying this, but sexual orientation does not need to be taught in the classroom. Yes, we do need sex education, when it should be up to the parents. The parents should be teaching their kids about sexual education. But I have a problem with what type of stuff's being learned. It's like a little clip from Beavis and Butthead where they talked about the introduction for sex education. It's like, that's right, it's Sex Ed Week. We're going to be talking about the penis. We're going to be talking about the vagina. You think that's funny, Butthead? You're finding a misery when we're talking about the testicles. Let me show you a clip. You teach fourth grade sex ed? I mean, I think it would be funny. Listen to this short clip.
We'll be talking about the penis. We'll be talking about the vagina. Do you think that's funny, Butthead? Do you find it amusing that we'll be talking about the testicles? Yes, we're also going to be talking about venereal disease, sexual intercourse, the scrotum, the clitoris, and we will definitely be spending a lot of time talking about masturbation.
And they think that is funny, when in fact parents should be discussing this with the kids. I know what that's like. I mean, You take 4th graders in for sex education like an episode of South Park. Okay, boys, this is the first day of sexual education. Okay, now, I know some of you think this is very funny. Words like penis and vagina. Now, stop now, okay? We're gonna get through this and be a little more mature, okay? It's kind of funny, but it's a very serious issue. So the question really is, should schools be allowed to teach sex education? The answer is yes. But should it be mandated? Well, it has to be up to the parents. I mean, have you ever heard of these things called permission slips? Permission slips, it's a piece of paper. It's a stinking piece of paper stating what's going to be going on. A piece of paper. You would have gotten a piece of paper that would outline what's going to be going on throughout the curriculum. And most people make it part of a health class. Think about the 2020 segment back in. Think about that 2020 segment from back in 1990 about death education. No parent approval. Nothing. A lot of parents are concerned about, do I want my child learning about sex in school? Do I want them learning about this and that? Questions need to be raised. And health class is just health class. I took health class junior year, then I took health class in the third, fourth, 8th grade. And I took a semester of health, and there was no sex education. I was kind of figured because there was sex ed during my junior year, I would have been very pleased. Some ages, you couldn't even say those things to me. He would just laugh at you. Now people say on Family Feud, and it got ratings. But problem doesn't end there with what's going on. It's like, now there's probably some questions like why do schools teach sex ed? I mean, why does sex ed save the world? But the question is, questions are being raised through what's going on. But now there's new testimonies, and I was looking into this. There's probably all these videos about sex education, but nothing new has happened so far. This investigation is continuing, but we're still getting to the bottom of this. All right, so if you live in California, if you go to Glendale, you heard about if your parents are in Glendale, California, you hear about this, and there's new details. I want to know about it. So again, what I told you. Remember this: if you know anything, hear anything, I need to know. I need to know right away. New emails. If there's any updates, if there's an investigation going on, if you pulled your kids out and moved them to another school, I need to know. This has to stop, and it needs to stop now. All right, this investigation's over. I'm still looking into it. When we come back, Nueces County is now in a federal lawsuit by a law firm. Why is that? We'll tell you when we come back. Now for an update on something that's been going on here. You remember weeks ago we focused into DeKalb County School that was 100 years old and was we needing repairs. Well, superintendent was fired and still nothing. Now there was another DeKalb County high school that made a video showcasing what they claim are issues with sewage leaks, mold, bugs, and rats. This was very similar to a video that happened. It's inspired by a similar video by students at Druid Hills High School last month. Students at Lakeside High School decided they need to do the same thing to get the school district to make some badly needed repairs and renovations to the campus. Lakeside students took to YouTube to show that they're facing unsanitary conditions as part of the school. No students showed up a spot where students say they found a dead rat. But Garbert says the school system is doing cheap band-aid-like repairs on major systems. And in fact, you need major renovation instead. The board has now announced a plan to moderate Lakeside and Druid Hills High School, where the original video sparked outcry from parents and students. A fight over the video eventually led to the firing of DeKalb County Superintendent Sean Watson Harris. The district does plan to moderate some schools like Cross Keys County High School. Okay? And a spokesman said they've identified more than $10 million worth of priority renovation projects at Lakeside, but there's no time frame when those projects will be completed. I'm pissed. Is there anything new? Anything new at Oxford? Well, according to Detroit News, no independent review of Oxford school shooting will until litigation over, the board officials say. And now the Oxford School Board declines the Attorney General's second offer to investigate. This is the second time. Not the first. The first time they denied it. The second time they denied it. But Nessel blasts Oxford school officials for delaying investigation into mass shooting. We'll tell you more about that on Friday. Along with this video. Give Me a Break continues in just a moment. Back in Texas, Nueces County is facing a federal lawsuit into a missed autopsy. This is the from Gowan and Lozano. The Nueces County Medical Examiner's Office within the general authorities granted by Nueces County, Texas, was further into Nueces County's business, their activities for what the accomplishment and object which the Nueces County Medical Examiner was employed. As an employer, Nueces County is legally responsible and liable for the damages the claimant was specifically caused by negligence. So what's going on here? Listen.
Claiming on behalf of Tamara Gonzalez, her son Joseph Gonzalez went missing June 11th of 2020. His body was discovered 5 days later. His family claims the ME's office was negligent in how it handled her son's body during the autopsy, and that the person who handled the body was not licensed by the state. Plus, the family says the cause of death was falsified.
Now, the law firm says there are grounds for intentional infliction of mental anguish and suffering sustained by Tamara Gonzalez. According to the lawsuit, the county is responsible for negligence and gross negligence allegedly committed by the ME's office.
Now, the Texas Rangers arrested both former Nueces County Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Adele Shaker and his deputy ME Samuel Leiden. They say Leiden operated without a license, and Shaker tried to hide that. Now the
good news tonight.
So there's now an update for what happened. Let's take a look. She's now bonded out of jail.
Assistant Medical Examiner Samuel Leiden has bonded out of jail. This after a series of hearings trying to get that bond amount reduced. The Texas Rangers arrested both former Nueces County Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Adele Shaker and Leiden. They say Leiden operated without a license and that Shaker tried to hide that.
Try to hide the license. You hit the fact you didn't have a license. If you didn't have a license, you should be truthful and saying, "I'm sorry, I'm not licensed to do this." Then you should walk away. If you can't hide the fact that you don't have a license. If you don't have a license, you shouldn't be operating. You shouldn't be a doctor. in order to have a PhD or a doctor's license, you need to complete school, college, whatever. And the fact that she's released, is bonded out of jail, nothing is going on. Our hurricane season is coming up, so there is preparedness. That's the key. So preparedness is the key. Like I told you before, when Katie Jeffries, like I said before, Katie Jeffries, who doesn't drive me crazy, it's like hurricane season. It's like where's the milk? Where's the eggs? Where's this and that and the other? Years ago, we told you about that. But preparedness is the key. Take a look.
Applies little by little as one
Watch.
season upon us, and you don't want to wait until the last minute to get vital supplies. As we know, the devastation from hurricanes are unpredictable, and you and your family, well, you should be ready for the worst. Collecting supplies little by little is one of the best strategies, so you don't run into a shortage.
You don't have to buy it all at one time. Between now and the start of hurricane season, every time you go to the store, just pick up a few items that you might need for hurricane season. Flashlights, batteries, any type of radio, battery-operated radios. Even start supplying your food, canned foods. And be ready. And bottled water. Bottled water can always come in handy. It's a gallon a day per person.
That's Billy Delgado, Emergency Management Coordinator. Now, one way to stay informed is through the Nueces County Emergency Alert Program. It'll alert you about any evacuations and major weather events. All you have to do is go to reversealert.org.
Okay.
So this thing is being too prepared, right? One man from Orange Grove is making sure
There's not
his
Orange
community
Grove.
is equipped with supplies that will withstand whatever storms may brew during hurricane season. Our Simone Simpson spent some time with him today, and she has this report tonight. Simone?
Rudy, at the Orange Grove Emporium, you find many things: knickknacks, blankets, body care, and survival gear. I spoke with Wiley Thorman, who, after experiencing the freeze 2 years ago, took preparation into his own hands.
In Orange Grove, Texas,
I have 5 boxes of 12 left.
one man is preparing for the worst.
On all the water bottles and on the radios, I probably have 10 to 12 of each of those.
The weather has to offer.
There's only 2 left because things are hard to get.
While supplying the community with vital items in a room he calls,
This is what we call our survival room.
after the freeze that devastated Texas 2 years ago, the power outage inspired Wiley to take preparation into his own hands.
For my daughter, she lost her power, water froze up, power came back on, but her water was still froze. She had snow where she was at, and she took the snow in the house and melted it, put it in her water filter system, and they had clean drinking water.
With hurricane season just beginning, now is the time to start collecting items. Right, Wiley?
Yeah, your basic needs, you have to have water to survive, you have to have food to survive.
Before demand becomes too high, it's good to start little by little.
You get busy from day to day, and then you forget things, and you go to the store and you forget why you went there. And so this is, things that are here close to the community, small items, nothing's real expensive.
But the cost of having these supplies, if the power goes out, is priceless.
Be prepared and never give up, because you can't make it.
To find out more about the Orange Grove Emporium, we'll have details on our site shortly. Rudy?
All right, thank you, Simone.
Right there, have you?
And if you're gonna be prepared all throughout, probably tomorrow or Friday, we'll give you some inside tips of what you do to prepare. So you don't have to be running through the store, running through the shelves looking for bread, milk, and eggs. Get some canned goods, like some good Chef Boyardee's. Those are good. Beefaroni. Stock up on everything. Generators. Generators can be very pricey. Those are one of the things we're working on. And if you're in the Corpus area and want to win this hurricane giveaway like I entered, be ready. watch 3 News at 10 to make sure that you are prepared. And if I win, I'm going to show you examples. And the only reason I'm here is because because when I win, if I win, I will show you examples of what's going on, of some tools you need, some supplies that you need, food supplies, everything that you need. So that way, if the power goes out, you get your generator all powered up. This is only going to be for example and entertainment purposes. That's why I'm going to tell them the truth if I win. I'm just saying, like, as you know, you already know I have a show on YouTube called Give Me a Break, explaining everything, blah, blah, blah. I use your show, I use the new, you guys, blah, 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 this and that and the other. That's exactly what I'm going to tell them. So I hope with these items, the viewers will get all these tips. And speaking of that, I'm going to play you Katie Jeffrey's Hurricane Season Prep when we return. Now I'm continuing on Hurricane Season Prep. Here's a message from my good friend, Katie Jeffries. Katie?
Hey guys, it is the start of hurricane season. Yay! If I hear the words cone of concern, I think my eye will start twitching. The last 2 seasons have not been good to us. We had Matthew and then Irma. So whoever said Jacksonville never gets hurricanes, you are full of So I'm actually doing these videos from a different car because my last car got destroyed in Irma. R.I.P. baby little Malibu. It's fine. It's not like I'm still bitter about it or anything. So if you're gonna get ready, let's just do it now. Because the last thing I want to see is when people wait until the last second and then suddenly you can't find food or water anywhere. The poor guy at Publix, when he brings the water out from the back, it's like a scene from Braveheart of people just like storming the aisle trying to get to that water. Just do it now and you don't have to worry about it. Because when there's a storm coming, people are like, where are the eggs? Where's the milk? I need bread. What are you guys doing? Are you making French toast during hurricanes? Like, I don't get it. Just go get some canned goods, get some like Chef Boyardee or something, stock up on some water, and like you're fine. Just put that away in a closet and don't worry about it. And while we're on the subject of hurricanes here, evacuations are for your own safety. But if you mention evacuations, people at the beach are like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Why? You're on your own. If you stay, you're on your own. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the beach. But then it's like the storm is upon us and everybody flees across the intercoastal to take refuge over with the townies. Just leave when they tell you to leave. And please be nice to the meteorologists. They are seriously doing the best that they can. It is science. They can't just predict the future. If you can predict a storm perfectly, 10 days out, you know exactly where it's going to hit and what time, you are a sorcerer, and I want you to come work for us. But seriously, the motto I like to live by is, unless Deegan is worried, I'm not worried. Because Tim Deegan has been tracking hurricanes since before most of us were even born. The man knows what he's talking about. If I see him get concerned, then I will get concerned. But until then, I'm not panicking. We're Floridians. We've seen this before. It's not like a freak blizzard or something. We have hurricanes that happen. We're a peninsula. We're just hanging out there in the ocean anyway. We can handle this. You know, the rest of the country pokes fun at us because, you know, we have gators that sometimes show up in our backyards and we have some kind of crazy news stories that happen here. But there's one thing that we do know. We know hurricanes. We can do this. I believe in you.
And when Harvey hit, I had to evacuate not out of outside Corpus, but where a hurricane did, where the winds are not blowing.
Because when there's a storm coming,
Sorry. Like I said, I evacuated, but not to San Antonio, where Corpus got hit by Hurricane Hannah and Harvey. And where was I in 2020 when the Hurricane Hannah hit? I was at home. Power went out. I had to go across the street till the power came back on. And bada boom. There you go. I was safe. I was very safe. I was safe during Harvey. I was safe during I was safe during Harvey. I was safe during Hannah. And during my show, like in 2 months from now, it's gonna be the five-year anniversary, and it's gonna be 4 years for me when I first wrote my first song. If you haven't seen it, check up top. It's amazing. I even shared it with kids. I'll tell you that story another time. But yeah, in the near future we'll have some driving crazy videos from my good friend Kitty Jeffries. I don't want to say good friend because I never met her. Just like driving distracted, kids in the car, and exactly boat range. That's gonna be probably next time. So that's probably gonna be till probably about this week. I'm gonna first half we'll deal with road rage and all that stuff, and then the second half we're gonna deal with the school pairs at this school and why the Oxford School Board is not dealing with is saying no. So look for that Friday. And make sure you're prepared. Hey, I may have some my good friends Carly and Kristen Walla from Channel 3 sit with me, said they can share with you tips. I may ask her, or I may ask before the special, because I plan on watching, and I may watch with you live while we're talking. Yeah, my first YouTube live ever. It may happen. Stay tuned for more details. And that's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Wednesday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday morning and Friday night. For all of us here at Give Me a Break, and for all of us here at YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Give Me a Break YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, The American Player, for song covers, Dateline, 2020, and Primetime Live old videos that are on different websites. I may have more coming. Keep your eyes peeled. So subscribe to both those channels with likes, comments, and post notifications turned on so you won't miss a damn video. Have a good night. Good night, everyone. And have a great day.